Hello, sir. Yes, this is Agent Watts with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. I'm here at the range, and we're going to be doing some testing with the Canik FRTs. Yes. Are they machine guns? Well, I think as usual, we're going to have to say yes to that, but I still got to test them. I'm aware, yes, it's a public safety concern. Yes, Rare Breed is concerned, and I believe they're also going to be suing. I will keep you informed. Thank you, sir. God bless America. Nice. What the? Oh my God. If you've ever wondered why the ATF helped smuggle hundreds of guns down to Mexico through Operation Fast and the Furious and no one got charged for it, hit that like and subscribe button. Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of PSR. Today we've got something extremely torqued on the channel. These are the Canik FRTs. They are made by Gforce CNC and they are insane. This is the Canik Rival S. This is the steel frame version, and we got it fully torqued with some crazy parts from Wasatch Arms. And we've also got this TTI Combat from Canik as well, which also has the FRT from Gforce CNC in here. And I'm gonna tell you all about both these pistols and how I got it set up. But first, I gotta thank the channel sponsor, of course, and that is Atrius Development Group. Guys, if you are interested in going fast with your ARs, semi-automatically, of course, the FRS is a 3-position selector for your AR pattern rifles, and it is a whole lot of fun. Never in a million years, use PSR for 10% off your entire order from Atrius. Tell them PSR sent you. Big shout out and thank you to Atrius for sponsoring this channel. First, we'll just go over a little bit about what the FRT is and who makes it. One of these was sent directly from Gforce CNC and the other was sent from FTA Tactical. The way that these work is essentially similar to the Glock design, which I've covered on the channel. The Glock design was pioneered by Advanced Reset Tech. I know there's a bunch of companies that make the Glock FRTs, but it works in a very similar way where you have a trigger shoe here that is got a little protrusion, a little trip. It's basically a lever that sticks up and it interfaces with the bottom and the locking system of that barrel. When the slide comes back like this, it resets your trigger. So if you can see this, I'm pulling the trigger and forward goes the trigger and then back pulling another shot. So this is a FRT only setup. You're not going to be doing really much single shots. It's just going to be a lot of shots semi-automatically. I've tried to do single shots just by barely tapping it. And while some of the AK triggers, the FRT from Texas Triggers, you can do that on an AK because it's got a slower action. Because of the speed of this, and you saw it in the intro, that's pretty much impossible. So you're gonna get multiple shots. I will say something about this trigger, and similar to the Glock triggers, it takes a lot of tuning. These triggers were developed for the Canik Mete SF, I believe, or the SFT. These are the polymer frame guns, and they're much more similar to something like this, which is a polymer frame, but it's just got a little bit of a different top end, but this will be interchangeable with the other Mete frames. Whereas this design, the Canik Rival S, being the steel frame, it has a slightly different locking block geometry, so it's not really intended for this one, but I was determined to get this to work. It started to work slowly, and I just did a lot of filing. I'm not going to tell you how to do it because that's not allowed on YouTube, but it takes a lot of tuning. Let's just say that if you're interested in the Rival S version, it's the same exact trigger that are in both of these, but this one required a boatload of tuning, not gonna lie. It definitely required some filing, testing, filing, testing, filing, testing. So if you can't really do that and you don't want to mess with it, that's when I would recommend the TTI Combat or something similar, the Mete SFT. That's really what this trigger is intended for. This one took a lot less tuning. It did take a little bit of tuning, but it took a lot less tuning. Now, you can tune this thing without files, but it just basically requires you putting around 3,000 rounds through it, and eventually that trip situation will get rounded to the point where it is working. And that is essentially what I had to do with this. I put probably, this is probably approaching 5,000 rounds through this gun. So I tried the MC9 Prime, the Mete, and it didn't have an FRT in it, and I actually really liked that gun. I thought it was pretty sweet. So I'm not a Canik hater or anything, but after shooting this Rival S and the amount of abuse that I've put through this gun, 4,000 rounds, like, I am extremely impressed with the Rival S. And this thing, with the brass grips and everything, I'm gonna go over what I got on it, but it weighs 3 pounds. So it's a super heavy gun, and it feels so solid. And so I'm really impressed with this gun. And even without the FRT, this would be a lot of fun to shoot. I actually haven't run it regular, so I just got it and threw the FRT in it. I was on a mission to get this thing to work, and so I didn't really do much regular semi-auto shooting. So I may have to take the FRT out and just try it regular, because it's a super flat shooting gun, and it's honestly stood the test of FRT abuse that we gave it. So super happy with this one. And as far as the rounds on this one, we probably got around 12 to 1,500 rounds on this guy. Overall, I've been really happy with this thing. I just had to replace the recoil spring to get it to run right. The original recoil spring was just, I think, a little heavy, so we used the lightened recoil spring in it, and it's been working well. All right, so before we get into shooting impressions, I just want to show you what I got on this thing, because it's extra torqued, as you can see. So most of these parts are from Wasatch Arms. I think that's how you pronounce it. Maybe it's Wasatch. Wasatch Arms did send me the magwell, this gas pedal, which attaches to this whole system of a fixed compensator that goes to the rail. And I really like the premise of this compensator on the steel frame, because a polymer gun, when you're attaching an aluminum accessory, sometimes, I don't know, it just doesn't feel very rigid. But this being steel and this being aluminum, like, the lockup is extremely tight, and it's really good. And I never had any issues with the slide not going to battery or anything like that. Like, it's been working great since the beginning. So I really like this magwell as well. We've got the comp, we've got the gas pedal, which really helps under recoil, especially with the FRT. It's got a pick rail for a light, but I didn't mount one on there. The grips here are from Lock Grips. These are brass grips, so I wanted to add as much weight to this build as possible to try to keep the gun down a bit more. This has been doing great, so I really like how grippy this is. It doesn't appear to be that grippy from, like, on camera, but dude, this thing just sits right in your hand. I really like it. It's pretty aggressive, and I dig how much weight it adds to it and the feel of the grips. On top, we got a Sealy Chameleon Flex optic. It kind of resembles an SRO. I really like it. It's been awesome for me. Really nice clear window, although with the comp it does get a little bit dirty, but I've been really impressed with this optic. Moving over to the TTI Combat, we've got a similar setup, but not nearly as many extra parts on here. We have a Taylor Freelance magwell. I did buy that with my own money. And then we also have a Taylor Freelance backstrap here. I thought it matched the gray really nice, and it looks pretty sweet. The recoil spring is stock, but I just had to swap it out. It came with the gun. The gun also comes with a pretty nifty holster. I did a review on the MC9 Prime, and I didn't really like that holster, but the holster that comes with the TTI, I actually really like it. So props to Canik for doing a cool, nice holster. The lockup's really nice, and it fits on the belt well. We also threw the same exact optic on here, the Sealy Chameleon Flex. This is very similar, just a different colorway. It has been running great. I must say, I really do think this gun looks sick. For a stock factory gun, I think the Terran Canik collab was pretty on point. I really like the bronze barrel, and the accents on there look awesome. As far as magazines go, we got some extensions here. One of them is from Wasatch Arms. This is a +7, I believe, so you get 25 in the mag, which is really nice. They've been running flawless. I actually found that some of these were running a little bit smoother and a little bit better with the FRTs, with the extension. I don't know if it has to do with the spring tension, but these did come with extra springs, so gotta love that. So these have been reliable. And then we went even further with these Taylor Freelance ones, which are +9, I believe. Yeah, so they're 27 in the mag here, and these Taylor Freelance ones have been working great. All right, so let's get into the shooting impressions. As you saw in the intro, one of these things is absolutely diabolical in terms of the speed and the rate of fire. There it is. We're almost approaching TX22 speeds, but with 9mm. I did some measurement and did some math while looking at the video while I was editing it, and we're looking at around 1300 RPM for this guy. I was running HSL 124 grain competition loads through this, and it runs awesome. The speed is insane, which brings me to thanking HSL for being the ammo sponsor for PSR. They're a huge help to the channel because I can put thousands of rounds through these guns and make the epic montages and have really a lot more freedom to make the content that I do. So if you're interested in high quality, affordable ammo, check out HSL and tell them PSR sent you. Thank you again to HSL for sponsoring the ammo. So the cyclic rate on this thing is absolutely batshit insane. It is controllable, but it's so fast. If you see the footage of me shooting it in slow motion, the gun, it like comes up first initially, and then you try to compensate for it to going up, and you bring it down a little bit, and then you overcompensate it going down, and then you get it in the middle, and it's just like once you get the initial burst, like get used to the pressure against your arms and your hands, then you can keep it centered. But I'm telling you, when you look through the dot, any dot on this gun, it's just a line. It's just a line going up and down when you're shooting it. So you gotta look at your target and look at the bottom of the line, because the bottom of the line is where you're actually gonna be impacting, because the top of the line is when your slide is all the way back, and the bottom is when it's all the way forward and firing the round. So I would never give this to someone who's never shot an FRT pistol before. And even if you have, this is like expert mode. It is not the most controllable, even though it shoots really flat, and especially without the FRT, I'm sure it would shoot insanely flat because of the weight of it, but the cyclic rate is just unreal. And I think it has to do with the compensator and also the recoil spring in here, which I ended up using I think it was a 20-pound recoil spring or something like that, that made it a little bit more reliable. But with the 124s, this thing absolutely rips. I couldn't really get the 147s to run reliably in it, and I didn't even try 115s, but the 124 HSL competition loads have been awesome in this thing. It is over in a hurry, I will tell you that. The compensator though does an excellent job of mitigating the flip on it. It would be kind of interesting to take it off just to see how it shot, if it would slow the cyclic rate down. It's like a sports car. It just wants to go fast. Now moving forward to the TTI Combat. This thing is like the opposite of the Rival S. This shoots super, super slow compared to the Rival S, and it is much more manageable when it comes to just the recoil. It is a little bit flippier. This is a compensator on the front, which is kind of cool how they integrated it. It's got like a little locking system, so there's no threaded barrel on there, which actually makes it technically California compliant, which is, I guess, kind of cool. Like I said, a little bit snappier in terms of the recoil, how it looks on video. In shooting it, it is much easier to keep on target than the Rival S. In terms of with the FRT, it is just a smoother experience. It's more of a chug, chug, chug rather than a brrr. I mean, it's still going pretty fast, but it is not nearly as fast as the Rival S. I found it really nice to shoot double taps and like triple taps with this particular setup. Much easier. It seems like it kind of likes that a little bit more. Now I'll show you in the video real quick, but when you first do your first shot on the TTI Combat, you can notice that the first movement of the slide, it actually gets like hung up right here in the back. And then once you get a little bit of less pressure on it, that happens. So it really depends when you're shooting the FRT. Like, you cannot be squeezing the trigger hard. Some FRTs you can squeeze hard, it'll go. Some FRTs are much more sensitive, and this is similar to the Glocks in that if you pull it too hard, it will get caught up like this and it won't go. But then you can let it go, and there goes the slide. So it really is a big learning curve when it comes to shooting these FRTs. The amount of pressure that you have to put on this trigger is so little that you can get a little bit loose with your grip, because you're basically having to do two ends of the spectrum. Like, you're having to grip the gun really tight, obviously, because it's gonna take you on a ride, but then at the same time, you have to be really light on your trigger finger. And I would assume that if you tuned it a little bit more, got the lever to be the perfect polished level, then maybe that wouldn't be so hard, but you really have to grip the gun tight and then also just be extremely light with your finger, which can take some learning and can take some practice. And then when it comes to the trigger, I'm gonna show you some 960 FPS footage of me shooting this one in full speed, and you can see how aggressively that trigger reset is happening. It is so insanely aggressive. I have a blister on my finger. It was massive the other day when we shot the intro. It is an absolute abuser of your finger. So the good thing about this is we don't have the trigger dingus, because on some of the Glock triggers, there is a trigger dingus, and that acts as a knife basically. And you need to wear a Band-Aid or you need to wear tape on your finger or else you're cooked. Like, you will have a slice in your finger. It's that bad. This trigger thankfully does not have a trigger dingus. I will say, and I'm gonna say this in my conclusions too, that these are purely range toys. These are for having fun at the range. These are not for actual use in a self-defense situation for a number of reasons, both legal and reliability wise. If you're going to protect yourself with this FRT, which I wouldn't recommend, if you're stressed out, if you're in a high adrenaline situation, you're gonna pull that trigger pretty hard, you might run into a malfunction. So these are really just for having fun at the range, pissing away ammo, seeing how many rounds you can get on paper, that kind of stuff. It's fun. There's a place for that as well as a place for serious training. So in looking at this footage I'm gonna show you, this is 960 frames per second video. From the point where you pull the trigger and the reset, full reset, it's between 2 and 3 milliseconds. That's 0.003 seconds. Just a small fraction of a second, and even in the 960 FPS video, it looks fast, which is insane because that's extremely slow motion and it still looks fast. Because of the different geometry in the Rival S, it is more aggressive with this one. This one is not nearly as bad. That is something to keep in mind. The FRTs were designed for these kind of polymer frame Caniks, not the steel frame, but the steel frame, it just rocks your finger, dude. So those are our pistols. I've been super impressed with these extra parts that we put on here and just the build itself. It just looks super cyberpunk. I mean, this gun, like in the footage that we got, this thing looks like it's straight out of a futuristic movie. I think the compensator and the accessories from Wasatch Arms are awesome. And I will say I did buy these guns with my own money, so Canik did not send these to me and they're not paying me for anything. But I do have to say, like, I think I'm a Canik fanboy now, especially after the amount of abuse that we put these through. And speaking of abuse, I think we're gonna put it through a little bit more abuse here. I really wanna see how many shots I can keep on paper. I think this one is probably more fun in some ways to shoot because it's just so insane. It's such an adrenaline rush to shoot this, but this is a lot more accurate in terms of just being able to put the rounds on target because of that slower cyclic rate. So we'll try to see how many we can keep on paper in the Rival S versus the TTI Combat and have some FRT fun. Let's do it. All right, so we're gonna start with our Rival S first. We're at about 10 yards, target right there. And yeah, here goes nothing. We got 115s in here. I'm gonna try 115s, see if they run. Actually, you gotta lube the crap out of these things to get them to run right. Maybe after enough rounds, you don't need the lube, but we got this thing wet as hell. Here goes nothing, 10 yards. Here we go. Oh, so you can get that. Let's get her to go, come on now. All right, let's see how we did. Alrighty, so these two were when we got malfunctions, which I'll talk a little bit later about those malfunctions, but sometimes you can just get one round and it doesn't go. You have to just, like I said, be really light on the trigger. And once I adjusted my trigger strength there, it went up and to the right. I got 1, 2 in the A zone aside from the first two that weren't really in FRT mode, but 18 out of 25. That's not bad. I mean, we did get it up a little bit more towards the shoulder. Could be worse. Let's try the TTI Combat. See how that does. Sometimes I do have a little bit of trouble getting a string, like the whole mag, with this one. So if we get a little burst, we get a little burst, but that's kind of the way this thing goes. So we'll try our best, get her to run. First shots of the day here on the TTI Combat. All right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, bud. Much easier to control, even though it is flipping up a little bit more. The cyclic rate is perfect on this. I would say that's a better group, more center mass and more A-zone hits. 22 total on paper, 22 out of 25. I would say for a FRT pistol at 10 yards, 22 out of 25 is pretty damn good. As far as just like accuracy goes, definitely like the TTI Combat a bit more. That cyclic rate is just chef's kiss. All right, now for shits and giggles, we'll try them on steel. See if we can get a good ringing noise here. I got the 27 round Taylor Freelance in there. Let's give her. That's fun, man. On deck. This is the Ferrari of Caniks. Just wants to go fast. All right, here we go. All right, these 115s, sometimes, like I tell you, this is a little bit more of a test. God dang. Wowzers, dude. Holy. She reps and we got her smoking, bud. It's just insane. The sensation on your fingers, just diabolical, dude. That's gonna give me like early onset fucking carpal tunnel in my finger. There's a blister. This has been a whole lot of fun. We shot the intro the other day. It started raining, so we had to kind of stop our filming. These are such fun range toys. And really that's what they are. I just wouldn't want to be using an FRT in any kind of self-defense situation, but it's so much fun on the range shooting these things. These guns, particularly the Rival S with this comp on it, it is just diabolical fun. And this one, a lot more fun when you can keep the rounds on target, and that's what this one does. So if you're ever kind of curious about these Canik FRTs, the Gforce CNC FRT, I would say it's awesome. Like I said earlier, you definitely have to do some tuning, and you got to lube these things up, and you got to put some rounds through them to make sure they're good. So if you're not a tinkerer, if you don't like filing on stuff, definitely might not be for you. But if you are into that and you don't mind spending a little time getting it tuned and getting it ready and good to go, I would say this is a pretty sick little accessory. As far as the guns in general, as I mentioned earlier, like I'm just super impressed at how much abuse we've put through these guns and how they're doing still. Like I never cleaned this one. We got over 1,000 rounds through this. We got like 4,000 rounds through this one. So Canik, I definitely think they make some good pistols because this thing rips and they keep on going. As far as the malfunctions that we saw earlier when I was doing some testing, that's kind of normal with this. These things are great pistols in the regular configuration. I have no doubt that they would be running great. It's just with the FRT, you just have to be extremely light on the trigger. And sometimes, like we saw earlier when I was shooting the paper and the steel, we got one shot and then it didn't reset. And we do have a nice little feature here on the back of these Caniks that shows you when the firing pin is cocked and ready. If you look forward at that firing pin when you're shooting it and you're doing the FRT stuff, you can tell if it's reset and you're ready to go again. You just have to pull it back a little bit to reset the trigger and then try another dump, because really that's all you're getting is just full dumps with this guy especially. The TTI Combat was a little bit pickier with ammo and it only ran 147s reliably. So if you're interested in this one, I would definitely say 147s with the FRT. Of course, you could run whatever without it, but I did use that lighter recoil spring that came with this pistol. So yeah, that's been my review of these Canik FRTs by Gforce CNC. Making a cool product. It's a pretty easy install. Can't say any more than that, but it's basically just like replacing the trigger shoe on any Canik. It's not that hard. I hope you enjoyed the more fancy attire today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you feel like supporting me on Patreon, there's early access to content. It goes a long way to help pay for range time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and us going fast with these Caniks. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Peace. Hey, yeah, this is Special Agent Watts. I concluded the test, but unfortunately, some cartel members, they came and they took the guns, and so I don't have them anymore. I would assume that they took them to Mexico, but you know, that wouldn't be the first time we let guns into Mexico, so I figured it'd be okay. Is that all right? That's good? All right, cool. My bad. All right, thanks a lot. All right, bye.